Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And now at 10, the heat goes on. Day one of what will be the fourth heat wave in Connecticut this summer. As we head into tomorrow, it could feel even hotter because the humidity is rising. Across the state, cooling centers are open to help people who are more vulnerable to that heat. And that's why we're starting here on the weather. Thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Sarah Sanchez. You'll notice our team has not issued a weather impact alert, and that's because this will be uncomfortable but manageable. All right, so let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Rachel, we do get a break a little bit tonight. And how hot, though, will it get tomorrow? What can we expect?
Very similar temperatures to today. So we're expecting highs up around 90 degrees. We did hit 90 degrees today in the Hartford area. Again, similar tomorrow. And we do have at least one, maybe two more days before we can call the fourth heat wave of the season done and over with. But one of the things that makes this heat wave a little bit more manageable is that it is not super humid. We're not talking about a heat index 95 to triple digits. That being said, we are still definitely sweating in the days ahead, and you're still looking for places to cool off. Right now, it is 76 degrees in Hartford. It is not going to be as cool tonight as it has been the last few nights and following mornings, so a heads up. The dew point has been fairly low today, again in that comfy category or low humidity category, but as we head towards the middle and end of the week, the humidity will start to ramp up. Low temperatures tonight will be dropping back into the 60s as we head towards daybreak, and then tomorrow we'll do it all over again. Lots of sunshine, temperatures beginning in the 60s. By noon, we're in the upper 80s, and high temperatures will climb into the low 90s as we head through the afternoon, although there will be a little bit of relief at the shoreline. 83 for Ocean Beach Park and upper 80s at Hammonasset. We'll talk about when temperatures cool off, and we'll time out the chance for a much-needed shower or storm coming up, Sarah.
Thank you, Rachel. The Office of Inspector General is investigating a deadly shooting that involved Connecticut State Police. The Inspector General's office says the shooting happened Saturday night in Bosra near Gifford Lane. Now, we don't know much right now. The Inspector General hasn't even confirmed who shot whom, but the office often investigates when police shoot someone. We spoke with Edward Weiberg, who has lived in that neighborhood for more than 20 years, and he says his son was home at the time and heard one gunshot.
It made me nervous. You know, right now I don't know why it happened or what happened exactly, you know. So I think my son was listening to the police scanners and stuff so he could hear the police talking. They had shut down all the roads back here and everything. The state police units were here and everything.
By law, the Inspector General has to release a preliminary report within 5 business days of the cause of death being released. Well, on camera tonight, a New Britain teacher captured the moment someone stole a package off her front doorstep. She says school supplies she bought for her classroom were taken out there in broad daylight. So now she's again having to spend her own money to provide supplies for her classroom. Fox 61's Kate Pattyfoot took a closer look at that video.
Jolie Iotoni says she ordered banners, reading flashcards, and so much more for her students. They arrived on Friday, but before she could even go and get them, someone had already taken them.
I was so defeated, and like my first instinct was, how am I going to get this stuff back before the first day of school? What am I going to do if I can't get it back, and how am I going to replace it if I need to replace it?
Jolie Iotoni is an 8th grade teacher with New Britain Public Schools. She says she buys her back-to-school supplies closer to when she can set up her classroom. Last Friday, however, she didn't expect a thief at her steps while she was out running errands.
And I got a text from my neighbor who had said, like, hey, some guy just came up and took some stuff from the porch. Do you happen to know him? And so she sent me over the video, and it's just some guy who rides down the street on his bike. He just parks right in front of the house, and he just walks right up to the porch, grabs all of the packages off the porch, goes through the mailbox, grabs all the stuff out of the mailbox, looks right into the camera, and then kind of just walks on his way and goes right back on his bike and just rides down the road.
Iotoni is a reading teacher and says the items that were taken have since been replaced.
These were 2 of the things that had to be replaced. that were taken off the porch. They're like parts of speech, as well as how to read text and how to work through different stories.
But she says that's not all that was stolen.
Some other things were some decor, all kids can read, and then of course my first day of school dress was another thing that was just swiped off the porch.
In total, she has spent more than $400 on supplies since last Friday.
Most of it came from different places and different orders, so they all had just kind of piled up on the same day, miraculously. To replace everything over the last couple days, I think I've spent a little over $200 just because, probably closer to $300, because I've had to rush and kind of recuperate the things as fast as I can rather than ordering off of different websites so I can make sure they come in on time.
The 8th grade teacher is disappointed that someone would do this when she tries hard to make her classroom inviting for her students.
I really want them to feel like they are home and they are comfortable. So that means having things that might remind them of comfort. So like fun colors, bright patterns, visual things they can have, and their own like personal items.
Ayatoni says she has an Amazon wish list for her classroom. If you'd like to help out, you can find the link at fox61.com in the free Fox 61 News app. In New Britain, Kate Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
Now to Simsbury, town leaders are trying to add more rules for dog owners after years of frustrations. Fox 61's Tim Latow explains the ordinance that was proposed tonight and where it goes from here.
Just how clean is the grass at Simsbury Parks? Some town leaders say not clean enough, and that it's the result of some careless dog owners not picking up after their pets.
We have beautiful trails, but they're dotted with little purple and green or blue bags full of waste that, you know, somebody may have bagged up their poop but not taken it with them. And then in many cases you find piles of waste that haven't been picked up.
The Simsbury Board of Selectmen gathered to take action against pet owners, who they say don't pick up after their dogs or are a nuisance for athletic field maintenance staff and pose safety risks to the public. Thomas Tyberski drafted the ordinance the board considered at Monday's meeting.
I'm looking at the leash part of this as from a safety perspective. We have a lot of different uses of our trails, from older people right down to toddlers, and we want to make those places safe for everybody.
The ordinance would fine pet owners $100 for one of 3 violations in any public space: not picking up after their pet, not having their pet on a leash, and allowing their pet, leashed or unleashed, to go onto marked athletic fields.
I think it's fair. I think that people need to be responsible for their dogs and be considerate of people who are walking in the grass, kids playing on the fields. You don't want them running through dog poop.
Dog owners at the Simsbury Dog Park mostly agree with the proposal, but wish there were more receptacles to throw away dog poop while they walk their dogs.
I think the lack of trash facilities and places to dispose of it is a problem. Like if you're walking along Iron Horse, even, there's only one pet station. There's very few along the rail trails.
Tyberski says the lack of receptacles has to do with wildlife getting into them and a lack of staffing. He says they could consider adding it to the proposed ordinance. Tyberski is currently working on a new draft with edits from Monday's meeting. They'll consider that version at the September 8th meeting.
Part of being responsible is if you choose to use a facility and you choose to have your animal there, I don't think it's a lot to ask to pick up your waste and take it home with you.
Other towns in the greater Hartford area are also considering new rules for dog owners, and that includes West Hartford, which wants to expand leash laws. In Simsbury, Tim Latow, Fox 61.
Senator Richard Blumenthal says Connecticut families are paying too much for electricity, and he wants federal regulators to step in. Blumenthal's asking the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to independently review major transmission projects. He says many of them are greenlit by utility companies with little outside oversight. Connecticut has some of the highest electric rates in the nation, at nearly double the national average. The senator thinks families shouldn't have to cover the cost of projects that may not be necessary. Advocates say transmission work should be based on actual need.
We really need to be developing energy sources to the greatest extent possible rather than limiting options.
Today, Eversource responded and said they support an independent review process and have already submitted comments to ISO New England to make that happen. The company says transmission projects are critical to reliability and capacity. They pointed to recent work in Norwalk and the Naugatuck Valley as examples. Eversource added it shares goals with Senator Blumenthal and looks forward to working with him to lower costs for all customers. CARE Connecticut wants a hate crime investigation, that is. There was an incident outside a Stamford mosque, and they're calling it targeted. The video was shared to Fox 61. A man in a white car pulls up outside the Islamic Cultural Center of New York on Washington Boulevard. This happened Saturday night. He leans out the window and shouts insults about Islam and the Prophet Muhammad and tells people to go back to other countries. CARE says he targeted families who were leaving evening prayer. Police say they've identified the driver and they're working with the state's attorney's office. CARE, though, is asking for more security at mosques. Take a look at this video we have for you from the Northfield Volunteer Fire Company. They shared this with us tonight. They raced south on Route 8 to get a car that was on fire in Litchfield. You can see the smoke there in the distance and vehicles veering away to let ambulances and fire trucks pass by. They got to the car and found a pickup truck engulfed there. Thankfully, people nearby dragged the driver out before flames could reach him. That driver was seriously hurt. We've reached out to get an update on how he's doing tonight. Route 8 was closed for hours, but has since been reopened.